10-second countdown. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Ignition.
Good morning. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Cape Canaveral Spaceport and to this historic event which will mark a new beginning in the evolution of the commercial space industry in Florida. I'm Frank DeBello, President of Space Florida, and we are all here sitting at Space Florida's Launch Complex 36, which during the past several decades was home to some 145 launches and is an integral part of the Cape's storied history. But today we mark a significant shift in that history, a translational moment, a change on this historic pad. It also marks a new role and a new era in commercial space for Florida. Florida's vision for its space industry is to become the 21st century's enabler of and global leader in space commerce. Today, we are celebrating the creation of a new partnership that is a major step forward on that journey. Together with our partner Blue Origin, we are entering into a true partnership of visions. The vision of Florida as gateway to the stars, but with a healthy dose of business sense and industry collaboration, and the vision of an innovative and highly successful entrepreneur and his company's dream of making space and the stars available to average global citizens for spaceflight research, business, and adventure. Today is about real space commerce. The speakers that follow will share with you all of the exciting details and news of the future that awaits us. But before we get started, I want to take a moment to acknowledge our roster of distinguished speakers. Please hold your applause until I've named them all. Please hold your applause until I've named them all. First, today's two principal partners, the Governor of the great state of Florida, Rick Scott, and the founder of Blue Origin, Jeff Bezos. The senior senator from the state of Florida, the Honorable Bill Nelson. Representative Steve Crisafulli, Director of the Florida Department of Economic Opportunity. Brigadier General Stephen Garland, the Vice Commander of the 14th Air Force. The Director of the Kennedy Space Center, Robert Cabana. Commissioner Robin Fisher, Chairman of the Brevard Board of County Commissioners. And Mr. Eric Szilagyi, President and CEO, Florida Power and Light. Please join me in welcoming them as our distinguished speakers for this event. Thank you. Next, while it is impossible to recognize all of the very important dignitaries that we have in this audience, I'd like to single out a few. These are individuals who have helped make today's announcement possible. Again, please hold your applause until I've named them all. First, the Honorable Thad Altman, State Senator for Florida District 16 and President of the Astronaut Memorial Foundation. The Honorable Kurt Smith, Brevard County Commissioner for District 4. The Honorable Rita Pritchett, Councilwoman, City Council, City of Titusville. Mr. Thomas Self, Regional Director, U.S. Senator Margot Rubio. Mr. Patrick Gavin, who's the Director of Community Relations for U.S. Congressman Bill Posey. Mr. Nick Cummings, the Minority Staff Director for the Space Subcommittee. Mr. Thomas I, who is Director of Plans and Programs at the 45th Space Wing. Colonel Eric Kraskowiak, who is also with the 45th Space Wing. Ms. Kathy Luters, Program Manager of the Commercial Crew Program at NASA. Ms. Pam Underwood, who is the Deputy Division Manager, Federal Aviation Administration, Office of Commercial Space Transportation. Mr. Rich Biter, who is Assistant Secretary of the Florida Department of Transportation for Intermodal Systems Development. Mr. Paul Meisner, Vice for Intermodal Systems Development. Mr. Paul Meisner, Vice President of Global Public Policy for Amazon. Mr. Mike Mullis, President and CEO, J.M. Mullis & Co. Mr. William Diamond, Chairman of the Board of Space Florida, and Managing Partner, Lowndes Drostick, Doster, Cantor, and Reed. Mr. Griff Salmon, Executive Vice President and Chief Operating Officer of Enterprise Florida. Ms. Debbie Good, Chairman of the Board of the Economic Development Commission of Florida Space Coast. Mr. Troy Post, Executive Director of Northern Brevard Economic Development Federation in Washington, D.C. Please join me in acknowledging these distinguished guests. Thank you. Thank you. And now it's my distinct pleasure to introduce the leader of our state, who is also the single biggest force behind the largest sustained job creation run we have seen in Florida in the last several decades. He likes to be known as the jobs governor, but he has also brought a business-oriented, no-nonsense leadership style to the governance of the state. And he has infected his economic development team with a bottom-line sense of considered investment, which we balance with pervasive attention of taxpayers. He is the state's chief executive and its chief economic developer, who has put us well on the path to becoming the job creation leader among all states. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming the 45th governor of the great state of Florida, Rick Scott.
So another week and another job announcement in the Space Coast. This is so it's exciting to be here, and so many people have made this happen, made our Boeing announcement happen and our Embraer announcement happen. But this is an exciting day. And again, I just want to recognize a few people. It wouldn't happen but for all of Frank DeBella's hard work. So I'd like to give Frank a big round of applause. Of people in business doing things, and this is another great success. Will be another great success for Jeff Bezos. So thank you for being here, and congratulations for your success. Congratulations for your success. The Space Coast has a very good partner in Senator Bill Nelson, somebody that in Washington D.C. So thank you, Senator Nelson. Another local success story, Speaker Steve Crisafulli. If you look at all the success that we've had over the last 4.5 years, I've had the opportunity to work with Speaker Crisafulli, and none of it would have happened but for all of money the right way. So the Speaker has done an outstanding job, so thank you. Jesse Panuccio has been the director of the Department of Economic Opportunity, I think, for about 3 years, and every month we've seen job growth. So he has done a great job, so thank you very much. All these announcements at Kennedy Space Center couldn't have happened but for a great director. And it's not easy to get things done in government. Bob Cabana has done a great job, so congratulations on your success. If you go around the state and see where we're seeing job growth, it's because you've elected very good local leaders. And there's not many better than Robin Fisher. He's done a great job, and they have a great team here. And Eric Szilagyi has done a great job at Florida Power and Light. We have some of the lowest utility costs in the country, and another reason for every business, if there's any business leaders here that might be from a faraway state, that you should move all the jobs here, Jeff, is another reason we have lower utility costs. So Eric Szilagyi does a great job. And somebody I get to work with in Tallahassee, Senator Thad Altman, does a wonderful job, so thank you very much, Thad. As Frank said, we are becoming the global destination for jobs. 917,000 jobs in 4 years and 7 months. Hopefully we'll see good numbers on Friday when we get our August numbers, but about 20,000 more jobs each and every month. Our unemployment has dropped in half. And it's because we are clearly the #1 place to build a business. And that's why it's an exciting announcement today with Blue Origin. Brevard County is no slacker, 4,700 jobs in the last 12 months. So this county has done outstanding. It's because of all the hard work of local individuals. One thing we've tried to do in the last 4.5 years is continue to diversify our economy. And part of that, and a leader in that, is aviation and aerospace. And we are becoming the leader. And we are the leader, and we're becoming more of a leader all the time in aerospace and aviation. We just went to the Paris Air Show and talked to so many companies, and they all want to do more business in Florida. Now, companies like Blue Origin are at the forefront of new space technologies that will expand opportunities for all Florida families, not only to go to space, but also have a great job. Blue Origin is an advanced and emerging space aviation company led by a great CEO, Jeff Bezos. They are designing and manufacturing commercial spacecraft, which one day will carry people into space with the most advanced technology. But the most exciting thing about today is we're announcing that Blue Origin has picked the great state of Florida as their base of operation. They're going to invest over $200 million locally and add 330 jobs. So congratulations to everybody for making that happen. Now, Jeff, you'll come up. I have an award for you. I'm sure they've never given you an award like this in any other state. This is the best state. This is the Governor's Business Ambassador Award. I ran on a campaign, and it shows up well on TV. I ran on a platform 4.5 years ago to get our state back to work, and we've added a lot of these jobs, and you're part of it. Thank you very much.
Thank you. That's very kind. Thank you. I really appreciate it.
Guys, I am so excited to be here today. Thank you, Governor. You know, I come by the space bug honestly. As a kid, I was inspired by the giant Saturn V missions that roared to life from these very shores. Today, we're thrilled to be coming to the Sunshine State for a new era of exploration. Our new home here on the Space Coast is anchored right here at Launch Complex 36. During its 43 years of service, there were 145 launches that thundered into space from here. The Mariner missions, the first U.S. spacecraft to visit other planets, lifted off from right here. So did Pioneer 10. So did Pioneer 10, the first spacecraft to travel through the asteroid belt. Surveyor 1, the first spacecraft to land softly on the moon from the U.S., and lots of weather, communications, and national defense payloads hopped their rides to space from Complex 36. The site saw its last launch in 2005, and the pad has stood silent for more than 10 years. Too long. Can't wait to fix that. And one of the unique things about what we're going to do here in Florida, we're not just launching from here, we're building here. We're not just launching from here, we're building here. At Exploration Park, we'll have a 21st century production facility where we'll focus on manufacturing our reusable fleet of orbital launchers and readying them for flight again and again. Locating the vehicle assembly near our launch site makes it way easier to process and transport really big rockets. Before you'll see us, because our American-made BE-4 engine, the power behind our orbital launch vehicle, will be acceptance tested here. Our BE-4 engine will also help make history as it powers the first flight of United Launch Alliance's Vulcan rocket. You residents of the Space Coast have enjoyed front row seats to the future for almost 60 years. That's pretty cool. And our team's passion for pioneering is the perfect fit for a community dedicated to forging new frontiers. Please keep watching.
Thank you, Jeff. Our next speaker is a native Floridian who has served this state and our nation well. From the Florida legislature to the U.S. Congress to the U.S. Senate, he has been a champion for the environment and for our space industry, and serves to protect and defend both. He has also served as an astronaut for NASA and continues today to work very hard, both visibly and behind the scenes, to help the Cape Canaveral spaceport evolve into the kind of commercial operating environment that helped attract our newest industry partner here today. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the senior senator from the great state of Florida, Senator Bill Nelson.
I want you to know that this is personal for me. It's personal not only because this is my roots. My grandparents homesteaded under the old Homestead Act right over there at the north end of the Space Shuttle runway. Under the Space Act, under the Homestead Act, if you worked the land for 4 years continuously in the early part of our country, the government would deed you 160 acres. My grandparents worked that land from 1913 to 1917. I have a copy of the deed signed by Woodrow Wilson to them. So it's personal to me, not only because of the roots, but it's personal to me having grown up in this community as a kid when all of these launch pads were alive and they were launching every week. Then, of course, we were in the great space race with the Soviets, and we had quite a few surprises. Sputnik went up first. We first tried with the Vanguard. It could not even get off the pad. But that American can-do spirit prevailed, and we went on to what is an extraordinary accomplishment over the last half-century. Now, these launch pads are coming alive again. That's worth applauding. From what you see in the big monster rocket, the one called the SLS, with the capsule that has already been tested, Orion, going out 3,500 miles, coming in on a ballistic reentry. That's on third pad 39B. To the commercial space activity on 39A. And then as you come down, the Atlas V pad on 41, the SpaceX pad on 40, the Delta IV pad on 37, and now all the way down here to the tip, literally the tip of Cape Canaveral. By the way, since we are celebrating, having just celebrated the 500th anniversary of Ponce de Leon coming to the New World, it is now being discovered in the Spanish archives that he did not go very far north on the peninsula. It's thought that he came perhaps as far north as Cape Canaveral, a place that the Indians back then called Place of Tall Reeds, Cabo de Corrientes, Cape Canaveral. Now, this is personal for me also, because for years the Air Force, which does such a terrific job, had always looked at this as Air Force property. There's a division up there just north of Pad 40. The Atlas pad, Pad 41, is actually on the Kennedy Space Center NASA land, but there's a joint agreement there. But the Air Force always was concerned, if you got commercial activity here, was it going to hinder the national security, military, and the intelligence mission that is so vital to our nation's protection? But that started to change. And thank goodness, the Secretary of the Air Force, Deborah James, came together. Finally, we had to do a little friendly persuasion, came together with the administrator of NASA and deputy administrator of NASA at the time, the head of the FAA. We all met in Senator Rockefeller's office and said, why can't you make all of this unused real estate all up and down this coast? Why can't you make it come back to life? And so what that decision was by the Air Force is the precursor to making this vision today for the Cape to become a reality. And about a year later, and I want to give credit where credit is due, as I from General Hyten, the head of the Air Force Space Command, and laid out the terms that we needed for an efficient commercial space operation from the Cape. That is, Hyten was totally on board. I couldn't believe it. Suddenly the Air Force policy was changing. And General Hyten and Secretary James, and then the head of the Air Force Eastern Test Range, General Armagno, it was same page. And with the new general that's coming in, I believe that we will see that carried into policy that will be enacted. Now, this effort really goes back to 1984, when as a young Congressional Space Act. But just last month, what is applicable today is we passed in the Senate, and we will get in the next few weeks, passing the Congress, the next Commercial Space Launch Act, in which it directs the Air Force, NASA, to streamline the permitting process and the requirements for commercial companies that they face when launching from federal Air Force installations like the Cape. Putting similar language in the House bill, and that's what we will reconcile in the next few weeks. And so here in Central Florida, we understand this because space is in our blood. We have obviously all of this to offer. But what we especially have to offer, Jeff, is it's in their genetic makeup. America has trusted to the people of the Cape, and I say that generically. That includes the people all up and down this coast, to prepare, for example, every NASA vehicle that has been launched into space, Mercury, Gemini, Apollo, the shuttle, the International Space Station, all these historic vehicles were shipped to the Cape in varying degrees of completion, and they had to get ready for this tough environment. The workers here faced the daunting technical challenges to get the systems ready for flight. Jeff, I think I hear you rain. If that's rain, but the sun's still shining, so it will not mess up what is a significant day. And those folks that I talked about came through. They know that these vessels that transport frail human bodies through an unforgiving vastness of space, it requires nothing short of perfection. And this workforce pours its heart, its soul into delivering just that. And so, Jeff Bezos, you have made the right decision. You have brought your company to a place in America where we share your dream of exploring space and where we have the proven skill, knowledge, and dedication to make that dream come alive again. And I want to welcome you to the Cape, to Florida. If you all will please excuse me, I am going to race to the airport. The Senate is in session, and there are many votes to make, but especially I've got to put the Commercial Space Act together. Thank you. God bless you. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator, for your continuing support of our collective efforts in making the Cape the best place to do space business. Our next speaker is a seventh-generation Floridian and a fourth-generation resident of Brevard County. Today, there is not a happier person on the stage to see this partnership come to fruition. As Speaker of the Florida House of Representatives, he has supported Space Florida's every move to make today happen and has been personally instrumental in ensuring that we have the resources and support necessary to ensure that the evolving future of the Cape and Florida's space industry is on solid ground. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming the Speaker of the Florida House, the Honorable Steve Crisafulli.
Thank you, Frank, and thank you for those kind words. Jeff, I'll tell you, we had our Disney animators drop that rain on us just to show you that in Florida, you just wait 10, 15 minutes and it's going to clear up. So launch day will always come in a quick manner. But having said that, as Senator Nelson was saying, this is personal. It's personal to many of us sitting here for many different reasons. I will tell you, my family, too, settled right here, actually just on the south end of where the Nelsons were. And my family, too, raised a family and many generations, produced agriculture on this very land. Government, by working it, did give that land. Of course, they did take it away, too. So that comes with the territory. But today, we still enjoy this community and raising our family in this community. And today could not happen without the collective efforts of so many people. And it's personal for those reasons that I tell you for my family, but it's also personal because this community has gone through so much over the last several years with regard to the shuttle program and the changes regard to the shuttle program and the changes in industry. But having said that, I see a very bright horizon. The things that have taken place here under Bob Cabana's direction at the center have been nothing less than astounding. And I will tell you that none of this happens without the collective efforts of all the different individuals, private and public, to bring these things to fruition. And I'd be remiss if I didn't mention the hard work of Governor Scott. I will tell you, his direction and his campaign when he ran was all about jobs. And he has done nothing but create jobs in this state since that day. And this is the third time to announce opportunities right here in this community. So, Governor, thank you for your commitment to this state. It doesn't go without saying that none of this happens without the partnership of our local government. Happens without the partnership of our local government, our local Economic Development Commission, and those in private industry. And it happens that Commissioner Fisher is sitting here on the stage with us, and he has been a leader in this endeavor. But I will tell you that our Brevard County Commission has fought hard to see these things come to fruition. Our private sector, with Eric Szilagyi sitting here from Florida Power and Light, recognizing that this provides opportunity. This also provides an expansion of what Florida's footprint is. And as private sector businesses, they recognize that. And I think it's important from the standpoint of me that we cannot do this without the private sector partnership and the public sector partnership, because I think I was told that there were 12 states that were in the running for this opportunity to bring Jeff and his team to this state. And we did it because of that collective work that we put together to obviously come together and work that we put together to obviously come together and work to make this happen right here in our own backyard. So Jeff, on behalf of the Florida Legislature and the representative of this district and the Speaker of the House, welcome to Brevard County. Thank you for your investment, and we look forward to working with you. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Jesse Panuccio, who is the Director of the Florida Department of Economic Opportunity. He also served as General Counsel to Governor Scott as an integral part of the Governor's Economic Development team. Jesse's strong support of the structure for this effort today were a major contributor to the success that we are announcing. Ladies and gentlemen, your applause, please, for a valued Space Florida partner, Mr. Jesse Panuccio.
Thank you very much, Frank, and good morning, everyone. Thank you to the incredible Blue Origin team and everyone on this stage who made this happen today. Thank you, Jeff, for choosing the state of Florida. It's another incredible day for our state, 330 jobs. Choosing the state of Florida. It's another incredible day for our state, 330 jobs. And I think it's important we just take a moment to remember why projects like this are happening. They're happening because Enterprise Florida, and a lot of the incredible team from Enterprise Florida is here today. Space Florida. Give them a hand. They deserve it. Enterprise Florida, Space Florida, the Department of Economic Opportunity are committed to making sure this state is competitive for projects like this. Projects like this are happening because Governor Scott and Speaker Crisafulli have supported like Blue Origin. And projects like this are happening because we are making record investments in the education and the infrastructure that support a diversified and vibrant economy. But today's announcement is about more than just the jobs. It's another chapter in a very proud and rich history. We've historically in Florida been the site of many of the most important moments in space innovation and exploration. And when the shuttle program ended, a lot of people questioned whether the Space Coast would continue its proud tradition. A project like this, having Blue Origin here today, is our resounding answer: yes. Yes, Florida will continue to be a leader in the space industry. Yes, we will continue to attract the brightest minds, the hardest workers, dreamers, and innovators to this coast. And yes, another generation of boys and girls all across this state and this nation will look to the skies above Florida and wonder what lies beyond this site. Blue Origin will inspire the dreams of another generation of engineers and explorers and entrepreneurs. And that's what the economic resurgence in Florida is about. When the governor talks about 917,000 jobs, it's 917,000 stories of people in this economy. Today, those stories are about those who will propel us into the next generation of space exploration. Congratulations to Blue Origin and to the state today. Thank you.
Our next speaker has a long and distinguished career as a leader in the U.S. Air Force. General Garland is currently the Vice Commander of the 14th Air Force, which is the only number-designated space-related Air Force and is located at Vandenberg, California. In that role, he has oversight over our Air Force contingent here and has a key role in the future of the Cape. While there is a very long list of leadership positions, awards, and accomplishments he's achieved in his very remarkable career, it suffices to say that he is a proud warfighter and no stranger to the national security mission that is here. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome General Stephen D. Garland.
How y'all doing today? All right, thank you very much. That's a good day. Thank you, Mr. Bell. Appreciate it. And Governor Scott and Senator Nelson's already left. We just cannot thank him enough for the advocacy of commercial space and DoD space activities. And without your support, this partnership today would not be possible. On behalf of Lieutenant General Buck, the Commander of 14th Air Force and the Commander of JFCC Space, today we welcome Blue Origin to the Cape. And I don't need to tell this audience, welcoming someone new to the launch business isn't something we do every day. And by the look of how well Blue set the stage today for today's events, everyone here understands the significance of what we're doing. General Hyten, his top imperatives, one of them is guaranteeing assured access to space. And in that, he is dedicated to pushing old paradigms, advancing the technology to accommodate more commercial space activity. And I think, when you think about it, when NASA and DoD began launching satellites, nobody thought that commercial activity would desire a piece of the business. That has changed, and the technology continues to advance, and the Air Force takes great pride in working with our commercial partners to evolve our regulations and open the market more to space launch. We've made a lot of progress since Congress enacted the Commercial Space Launch Act of 1984, and the 45th has worked aggressively to make launch property available to commercial space launch activities. As you all know, they've leased or licensed 65 Cape Canaveral Air Force facilities, over 800,000 square feet, and more than $890 million of real property. So, as the discussion on space continues to evolve, we're dedicated to working with our mission partners and focus on things that are important to them. Whether it's providing regulatory confidence, increasing range operational efficiency, or just working with our other range partners to improve scheduling assurance, these improvements and additions to the nation's space transportation infrastructure contribute to a robust and cost-effective space enterprise. And that transport capability for both public and private sector, and in keeping with the intent of the Commercial Space Launch Act. Additionally, through the hard work and tireless efforts and continued support from our federal and state partners, they've helped pay tireless efforts and continued support from our federal and state partners. They've helped pave the way for our commercial customers to make assured access to space a reality, which kind of helps General Hyten sleep better at night. That's what's bringing us all here today. We already walked through the historical points of Space Launch Complex 6, but I would suffice to say, Mr. Bezos, we think that you picked a good spot. And this is going to be the Blue Origin is joining a long line of historic firsts here that you've already articulated, and we know you will enrich the legacy of commercial launch providers here on the Space Coast. As General Hyten reminds us, space is hard, and commitment to meeting those future challenges. Here we measure success one launch at a time, and we commit our range and resources to enable your future success. So in closing, on behalf of Air Force Space Command, 14th Air Force, JFCC Space, and the 45th Space Wing, in partnership with Space Florida, we're honored that you've chosen the Eastern Range as your launch location, and that choice now cements your place in space history. We welcome you to Cape Canaveral and look forward to your future, and we will enjoy sharing in your successes. All the best.
General, thank you. And on behalf of Space Florida and the state, I want to take a little license and acknowledge and thank the Air Force, the 45th Space Wing, and the Kennedy Space Center for their partnership with our team efforts to evolve the Cape Canaveral Spaceport into the commercially responsive operating environment we need for the next generation of space industry that we want to bring here. You've heard several individuals mention that space launch in particular is not easy, and operations at the Cape also have to be done right, but it's the partnership that really makes the Cape what it is. Our next speaker is one of Florida's strong partners here at the Cape Canaveral Spaceport. Bob Cabana is the director of the Kennedy Space Center portion of the spaceport and is a strong proponent of our collective role in enabling the emergence of the commercial space industry. In his role as KSC director, he is transforming the Kennedy Space Center from the shuttle and International Space Station era to one of supporting the nation's next-generation space exploration program, and has played a key role in the state's development and role in Exploration Park. Ladies and gentlemen, please.
Thanks, Frank. Well, it's another great day on Florida's Space Coast, and it's really great to welcome Blue Origin to be part of this amazing, awesome team that we have here at the Cape. I was talking with the governor beforehand, and I said, you know, if you do the result, and this was definitely the right result for Blue Origin and for this community. KSC has undergone tremendous change the last few years, enabling commercial operations. Has undergone tremendous change the last few years, enabling commercial operations and transforming the launch complex to support NASA's Space Launch System and Orion on our journey to Mars. The Cape is America's premier launch complex, and I'm very pleased to see that Blue Origin will be a key at KSC, launching from right here on Pad 36 at Cape Canaveral Air Force Station. We have a great partnership between the state of Florida, the Air Force, and NASA as we work together to provide commercial access to space and ensure America has a vibrant space program. For close to 15 years, we've had a continual human presence aboard the International Space Station, most of which was processed and launched from right here at the Kennedy Space Center. And soon we will once again have crews launching to the International Space Station on U.S. rockets from right here at the Cape as our commercial crew program helps provide 2 new launch vehicles for us to use. The crew aboard the International Space Station is paving the way to future space exploration as we learn more about the impacts of long-duration spaceflight on the human system. Right now, Scott Kelly is halfway through his 1-year mission on the International Space Station. And I sent him a note here a while back, and he was kind enough, along with his crewmate, Kjell Lindgren, to provide a few words to mark this momentous occasion. So let's hear what the crew on the ISS has to say.
Hi, I'm NASA astronaut Scott Kelly aboard the International Space Station, along with my NASA crewmate, Kjell Lindgren. On behalf of the Expedition 45 crew, I want to welcome the Blue Origin team to its new home on the Florida Space Coast as you join me midway into my year-long journey here on the station.
Scott and I, and our Russian and Japanese crewmates, are expanding the frontiers of space exploration and scientific research, even as our friends at Blue Origin are working on their vision to open up access to space for many more people. Whether it's a mission of scientific study, an innovative commercial venture, or perhaps deep space exploration, Blue Origin will be launching a new era of space travel from where you are today.
From the start of U.S. spaceflight to the starting point for the construction of our home in space, Cape Canaveral has been the place where dreams have become reality. Now, Blue Origin will help to write a new chapter for this inspiring story, and I congratulate Florida for working so hard to host this groundbreaking opportunity. From the entire Expedition 45 crew, we wish Blue Origin and the state of Florida great success in this endeavor.
Thank you, Bob, for your continued support of everything that we're doing, and I am very sincere in the fact that it's the partnership between the DoD and NASA and the state that really make everything work for the Cape. Our next speaker is Commissioner Robin Fisher. Robin Fisher was elected to the Brevard County Board of County Commissioners for District 1 in 2008 and has been serving as its chair since 2011. His list of accomplishments as a successful businessman and as a civic and social leader are too numerous to mention. Suffice it to say today, however, that he was instrumental in establishing the Northern Brevard Economic Development Zone and is leading the charge for the county in a number of important economic development wins with this county. Ladies and gentlemen, your applause, please, for Commissioner Robin Fisher.
Good morning. Thank you. Being the 8th speaker on the thing, I know you guys are probably getting a little tired. I know it was hot on that corner. Being the 8th is better than being the 9th, though. Right there. Yeah. I just wanted to say today, you know, everything that I wanted to say and everything that people prepared me to say has already been said. But what hasn't been said is, and since we're entering the football season, and I'm an ex-football player, I can remember the coach saying that big-time players make big-time plays in big-time situations. And what it means that when big-time games, you got to step up. And I'm going to say that this Blue Origin and this play of getting them here was really a big-time play. And it's a big-time play. And it's a big-time game. It's a big-time stage. And their big-time players made some plays. So I want to thank Governor Scott, Crisafulli, Frank DeBello, Jeff, you investing in us, and everybody else, Bob Cabana, who's said he was going to commercialize this. We're trying to own the commercial space world, and we're doing a good job of starting to take our position in that. And with that, on behalf of the Brevard County Commission, see Commissioner Smith here and Commissioner Barfield and Commissioner Anderson, who all supported this project, I thank you. I thank EDC. They made a big-time play in helping us get here. So did the state of Florida and Florida Enterprise, and the North have already come.
Comfortable fan behind me, and that's the reason I'm staying so much at the mic. It's almost yours. Eric Szilagyi is the President and Chief Executive Officer of Florida Power and Light, and we all know the company is our power company and is a great corporate citizen. He serves as a member of the board of the Florida Chamber and the board of Enterprise Florida, and has been a major contributor to our ability to provide commercial power and services to space companies seeking to manufacture and operate here. Eric was a key enabler for the project we are celebrating today. Please join me in welcoming Eric Szilagyi to the podium.
So yes, Commissioner, you're right. It is worse to be 9th than 8th. But the best part was I was over there getting a beautiful Florida tan, at least on half of my face as we were going through this. But, you know, in all seriousness, it is truly an honor for me to be on stage with such an amazing group of leaders, of visionaries, of legends, and yes, general true heroes who have served our country, and appreciate everything you have done and all the men and women in uniform for our country. You know, today is another great day for the state and another great and giant step forward for the space program here on the coast. You know, at FPL, we're very proud that the space program here on the coast. You know, at FPL, we're very proud that we have a long history of working with NASA and the space program to ensure its success. Many of you may not know, she undertook our first project to build a new power plant at the time in order to make sure that we could power the Apollo missions just a few miles from here over in Canaveral. And just a few years ago, we actually, as the space coast continued to grow and the space missions continued to expand here, we modernized that facility and made sure that the investment going forward would be able to meet the needs of companies like Blue Origin in Florida. You know, our focus, while we are your electric provider, is well beyond that. We are very focused on making sure that the community and the state is successful in being able to grow. That's why we've teamed with the governor, with the legislature, with economic development groups across the state to make sure that Florida is successful in being able to attract and retain jobs right here in the state. You know, I grew up the son of an Air Force pilot, and I grew up admiring anything that would fly, or in the case of the space program, when I was watching the Apollo moonshots as a kid, anything that defied gravity. And it really whetted my appetite for aviation, and as I continued to pursue that, I actually worked on getting my pilot's license years later with literally my dad as my flight instructor sitting next to me, and you'll appreciate this, General, barking some pretty good orders at me about how to do things. You know, he helped me realize my personal dream to fly. Now, as a high school student in Miami, Jeff Bezos also had some very bold dreams about space, about building space hotels, and about building space colonies eventually for millions of people to travel to. Today, that passion and his commitment for affordable and reliable space exploration and research takes another giant step towards reality. We're very, very proud at FPL to play a role in making that happen. We work very closely with NASA, with Space Florida, to ensure that the reliable power is here to support that mission and many others going forward. And I have to take a moment to say that thanks to the federal government, the state government, and also local government here, without their support, we would not have been able to build, to permit the necessary infrastructure and the substation that we did in such record time to make sure that Blue Origin was able to get off the ground when you're ready. You know, I also want to take just a moment to thank, and I know it's been done already, but I think it's important to recognize the incredible efforts that this governor and the Speaker of the House have made on behalf of the state to try to attract jobs and to retain jobs and to make sure that we're growing. We should never take for granted the opportunities that we have here in Florida to be able to leverage what I think is the best workforce in America and some of the best environment to grow your business. But the reality is we're competing against people from around the world for those jobs. And the governor and the speaker have really done the heavy lifting to make sure that we have the support as a state, as a business community, to be able to attract and retain those jobs. And without that support, I suspect that today we wouldn't be standing here on the stage celebrating such a momentous occasion. Instead, we'd be opening the newspaper, or turning on the TV, or checking the internet on our smartphones, and reading about Blue Origin opening up operations in some other state. So, Governor, Speaker, thank you very much for your dedication to making this happen, because I know it's not by accident, and really very much appreciate everything you've done to make this a reality. So I'm going to wrap it up by just saying, again, we're very proud to be part of the Space Coast family. Very proud to welcome you, Jeff, back to the Sunshine State. And just want to remind you that as a state with zero income taxes, we would love to see you, your management team, and folks from all of your companies come here to Florida, because there's no better place to live, work, and raise a family. Welcome.
It should be clear that what Blue Origin is announcing here today is not only exciting, but represents a real marker between the storied history of this pad and the future of Florida and the Cape Canaveral Spaceport. At this time, I'd like to welcome back to the stage Jeff Bezos to share a first related to Blue Origin's orbital launch vehicle.
Well, where you guys are sitting, right where you are, there's going to be a big vehicle processing facility. About 4,000 feet that way is going to be the BE-4 engine test stand, or acceptance test stand. 550,000 pounds of thrust, liquefied natural gas, liquid oxygen, great engine, testing it right over there. About 2,000 feet that way is going to be the new, going to lift off from Launch Pad 36. Well, I want to give you a little sneak peek. Here it is, the new orbital vehicle. It uses our BE-4 engines. It uses our takeoff, vertical landing. It's an architecture we have a lot of experience with from our New Shepard program. It's a great architecture because it scales to unusually large size. It's a fully reusable booster stage, and next year I'm going to share a lot more details with you about that vehicle. And I want you to know, one day, I don't know how long this will take, but one day I look forward to having a press conference with space. Look forward to it very much. Very.
I know it's been a long program, and we've all witnessed history today. But before we conclude, I'd like to be remiss if I didn't mention that this kind of a project, a program, takes far more people working to make it happen than we've been able to introduce to the stage today. I do want to thank the Governor and the Speaker of the House and President Gardner for the partnership that they have. Works very hard every day, and it is their support and their drive and energy and resources that make the partnership of Enterprise Florida our real partner. Secretary Bill Johnson, who is Secretary of Commerce and head of head of Enterprise Florida, could not be with us today, but Griff Salmon is. Griff, I'd like to thank you with us today, but Griff Salmon is. Griff, I'd like to thank you and your team for everything that you've done on this to make it work. Also from FDOT, Jim Wickstrom, from the county, Greg Weiner and Troy Post, from Florida Power and Light, Crystal Stiles and Mark Hillman. Our legal team, Tom Wilkes, Heather Ramos, Guy Haggard, and Lisa Specht. From Blue Origin, starting at the top, Rob Meyerson, Robert Millman, Scott Henderson, Jim Santor, and my own team, Jim Kuzma, Howard Haug, Mark Bontrager, Kevin Williams, Bernie McShay, Roberta, Steve, Pete, Jim, all of you. It has been a team effort and a lot of hard work, and we really are very, very grateful, especially also to the 45th Space Wing, General Wayne Monteith and General Armagna, along with Tom I and his team, working with KSC, Scott Colorado and his team have really worked hard to make this happen. So, Governor, thank you for the support. Thank all of you for bearing with us today. And Jeff, congratulations. After more than 40 years of what has been great history, we're pleased to see this pad come back to life, and the journey continues. We're all looking forward to the ride. At this time, I'd like to ask all of our guests to stay seated, and for members of the media to come forward to the front of the stage to my left for a brief 10-minute Q&A with Governor Scott and Jeff Bezos. Thank you, and thank you all for joining us today. This concludes our event.